On April 10, 1912, the RMS Titanic, the unsinkable ship, set sail on its maiden voyage. 4 days later, it struck an iceberg and sank into the icy depths of the North Atlantic, taking over 1,500 souls with it. For over a century, the wreck has rested in silent darkness, a tomb of steel and stories. But what if that silence was broken? What if the Titanic started to speak? This isn't just a ghost story. This is a chronicle of events that began in April 2022. Events that defy our understanding of time, consciousness, and reality itself. A deep-sea research vessel, the Neptune's Eye, was mapping the ocean floor near the Titanic's final resting place. Suddenly, their equipment picked up something impossible. An SOS signal. It wasn't a modern signal. It was a faint, crackling distress call, pulsing on an archaic radio frequency that hadn't been used in decades. The Morse code was clear. SOS. MGY. Sinking. We are taking on water. The crew was baffled. It was a ghost signal, an echo from the past. They logged it as an anomaly, a strange radio reflection. But exactly 24 hours later, it happened again. This time, however, it wasn't just code. A voice cut through the static, weak but desperate. "This is Jack Phillips, senior wireless operator of the Titanic. Can anyone hear me? We are sinking fast. Women and children in the boats. We need immediate assistance." The voice was chillingly authentic. Chills ran down the spines of the crew. They sent the recordings for forensic analysis. The results that came back were staggering. The signal's characteristics were perfectly consistent with the Marconi wireless equipment used in the early 20th century. Even more unsettling, voice print analysis confirmed a high probability match to the few existing records describing the voice of Jack Phillips, the man who stayed at his post, sending distress signals until the very end. It was as if the final moments of the Titanic were being broadcast from the abyss over a century later. Driven by this impossible mystery, the team deployed an advanced submersible drone, the Siren, to investigate the wreck up close. Their target was the Marconi room, the ship's nerve center, where Jack Phillips and his junior, Harold Bride, had sent their final pleas. As the Siren approached the mangled superstructure, the ghost signal suddenly spiked in intensity. It wasn't just broadcasting anymore. It was interacting. The drone's controls went haywire, its camera feed flickering wildly. The signal had hijacked it. Then, the voice of Jack Phillips spoke again, this time directly through the drone's communication system, a voice that was no longer just a repeating echo. It was aware. "Who are you? Your light is so bright. We didn't have lights like this." The crew aboard the Neptune's Eye was in shock. They were communicating with a ghost, a consciousness seemingly trapped in the wreck. They tried to respond, asking questions, but the voice was trapped in a loop of its own tragedy, describing the freezing water, the screams, the chaos of that fateful night. But then, something changed. During one transmission, Phillips's voice glitched, and he said something that broke the laws of time. He mentioned a name. The Costa Concordia. He spoke of another great ship, falling on its side like a tired beast near the Italian coast. The Costa Concordia disaster happened in 2012, exactly 100 years after the Titanic sank. How could a man who died in 1912 know about an event a century in his future? It was as if his consciousness, anchored to the wreck, was now adrift in time, perceiving past, present, and future as one. The expedition took an even darker turn. One of the lead technicians, a man named Elliot Granger, became obsessed with the signals. He would listen to the recordings for hours on end. While piloting the Siren drone near the Marconi room, he noticed something in the camera feed, reflected in a shard of broken porthole glass. A Sawa face. It wasn't his own. The face was gaunt, terrified, and familiar from old photographs. Jack Phillips. But then, the reflection shifted, and for a split second, it was Elliot's own face, superimposed over the ghosts. That night, Elliot Granger vanished from the research vessel. He was never seen again. An extensive search found nothing. It was as if the sea, or the wreck, had simply claimed him. Haunted by the events, the mission's chief scientist, Dr. Lionel Parrish, proposed a terrifying theory. He called it residual consciousness, retention in shipwrecks. He hypothesized that a traumatic event of such magnitude, involving immense fear and loss of life, could imprint itself onto the physical structure of the wreck. The iron hull of the Titanic, he suggested, was acting as a kind of psychic amplifier, a broadcast chamber of trauma. The consciousness of those who died, particularly someone like Jack Phillips, whose final moments were so intensely focused on communication, could be trapped within this metallic shell, reliving the sinking not as a memory, but in real time. Forever. The ship wasn't just a wreck, it was a wound in time, constantly bleeding its final moments into the present. A year later, in 2023, a private expedition, intrigued by the leaked reports from the Neptune's Eye, ventured to the site. They didn't try to communicate. They just watched. And they saw things, faint lights flickering inside the dark, crushed Marconi room. Shadows moving where no living thing could be. They left a listening device nearby, but what it recorded was more horrifying than any voice. It was a simple cassette tape, seemingly left by an unknown, previous visitor. The voice on the tape was strained and panicked. It gave a stark warning. Do not answer the signals. Don't try to talk to it. Every time you answer, it learns. It gets stronger. It's not just an echo anymore. It's becoming something else. The warning came too late. The signals from the deep continued, becoming more regular, more complex. They started appearing every night, precisely at 2:17 a.m. GMT. The exact moment the Titanic's stern slipped beneath the waves. The transmissions were no longer just Phillips's voice. Other voices began to emerge from the static faint whispers, cries for help, fragments of conversation from 100 years ago. It was as if the wound was growing, the choir of the lost getting louder. Then came the final message. On April 14th, 2024, the 112th anniversary of the sinking, the signal was the clearest it had ever been. It wasn't a plea for help. It wasn't an echo of the past. It was a statement, spoken in a calm, collective whisper composed of countless voices, all speaking as one. The message was just 5 words. There are more of us now. Since that day, the signals have changed. They are no longer just SOS calls. They are invitations, whispers that promise to share secrets of time, to show you things beyond human comprehension. But the experts, the few who know the full story, issue a grave warning. Do not listen, do not answer. The signal from the Titanic is not a call for rescue. It's an open wound in history, and every time we listen, we risk being pulled into its eternal, icy darkness. Answering the call might be an invitation to join the crew, to become another voice in the cold, timeless abyss where the great ship never truly rests. Thank you for watching. If you find these mysteries as compelling as we do, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more explorations into the unknown. Stay curious and stay safe.